Hello and welcome to the Screen Stoop podcast. We just got out of The Flash and we are pleasantly surprised. In preparation for this movie, last night we chose to watch the animated DC Justice League movie, The Flashpoint Paradox. And I thought, and you said, that that was going to ruin today's experience for us. And I'm incredibly surprised that it did not.
Yeah, it didn't ruin it, honestly. I thought it was going to. I'm glad it didn't. But it did.
This movie wasn't great by any means.
No.
But I thought that it would be like an insult to the storyline of the Flashpoint Paradox. And there are definitely some inconsistencies that like rip apart the fabric of the universe. But I'm not like offended by it.
No, and it was, watching the Flashpoint Paradox was a good way to study up because it refreshed my brain of some canon stuff for the Flash. And so I guess it kind of helped me like see some things that we'll get into later about things that didn't make sense or shouldn't have happened or how this movie would have been completely like avoided.
So based on the trailers, I had taken a note and I said, why in a movie titled The Flash is the big bad guy not a Flash villain? In the Flashpoint Paradox, it is Zoom. Flash is like number one villain. Why is a villain of this movie not Reverse Flash? Out of all of the Snyderverse villains, Zod was my second to last choice for which one I'd like to see again, with Steppenwolf being number one, because I was just an atrocious CGI mess. But having the big bad be Black Flash, you said the character's name is?
Yeah.
It kind of does fix it that it is at least someone that is the villain is a Flash universe character.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I agree with you. But in the end, it was more like the Flash was really the Flash's enemy. Which, if you think about it, that was kind of what it was in the Flashpoint Paradox as well. Like, Zoom was there, yeah, but if you remember, Zoom wasn't the reason why all that happened.
Yeah.
The Flash was the reason. So really, Flash is his biggest enemy.
Yeah.
His emotions, his humanity.
Yeah, that's what the whole twist is at the end of the Flashpoint Paradox, is Zoom standing there, Thawne, and he's like, ha ha ha, you don't get it. You're the one that went back in time and saved your mom, and you did all of this, da 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 da. And then Batman shoots him in the back of the head. So I actually really enjoyed the opening of this film. I loved seeing Ben Affleck again. Do you remember when Ben Affleck was so into this role that he wrote a script for Batman?
Yeah.
And now it's just like almost a joke, it seems like. Like everyone used to take this seriously, and now it's just ridiculous and most people are phoning it in.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, but I think this Batfleck was the best version of the Batflecks that we've gotten.
Batfleck. Scar Alfred does wonderful as usual. I liked the whole storyline of saving the world from a virus. I think it's a solid opening issue. I loved Batfleck coming out of the Bat wing on the Bat bike and chasing down the bad guy while Barry has to do the cleanup. They mentioned the janitor thing. That is like a common reference to the Flash.
Yeah, it seems like a very common issue that you see in a lot of like the Justice League storylines where the Flash is always complaining about how he's just clean up because his main power and really only power is super speed.
When Batman and the virus thief fall off the bridge and Batman's like about to somehow lose everything and kill everybody because he can't hold up one guy, then you hear the Wonder Woman thing and you see her lasso, and I couldn't help but like bust up laughing. Is it a meme to anybody else that when you hear that abrasive it's like so annoying? Unfortunately, the Flash was the worst part of the opening for me. The baby stuff and the mixed humor didn't land. In fact, it was upsetting because they didn't know or couldn't decide or just don't care about tone, because you had the super upsetting situation that they're in, and then they also tried to have like a quick silver moment where we're just playing jokes around the flying stuff. I can't be so tense that babies are gonna fly out of a building to their death and then also have like a baby in a microwave and think that that's funny. It doesn't work to me. It's a clash.
Yeah, I get what they were going with, because the whole thing is like the Flash needs to take like lots of calories. That's why in like the comics he has like a super shake, or in the TV show, the CW show, they have like a super shake he drinks, or a super protein bar. So you would think at this point Barry knows he needs lots of calories. Wouldn't he just always have snacks in his backpack?
He has the watch that I liked, actually, the energy power level watch. Why is he not also carrying some sort of calorie thing.
Yeah, some
just
food
even
or
some
something.
Noom tablets.
Yeah, like he's really relying on the fact that someone can make a sandwich fast for him or being able to find food. Luckily, I mean, he runs at soup speed. If he really wanted to, he could just dine and dash real quick.
I know. I thought that was where he was going and what he was going to do. It's like, this is an emergency, or even just grab something very, very quickly on the way to the scene. The humor in this opening was the worst part, as was the case in the entire film.
Yeah, and I don't enjoy in any situation watching somebody stuff their face.
I don't enjoy in any situation a contrivance to cause an issue. Is it something so easily fixable or predictable in a person's life? Because how does this guy operate? How does Barry operate on an everyday level? Yeah, he's just like tapping all the time, because that one little sandwich, I don't care if you added an extra 300 calories to it, it's not going to power the Flash.
Yeah.
You would have to be eating regular people food constantly, which is why even in basic CW TV shows, they have him create a special type of thing.
Yeah, Star Labs had to create like a protein bar or something that was like 9,000 calories.
To sustain him.
Yeah.
So I wrote down that I enjoyed the emotional reason that Barry accidentally went back in time, the first instance, but I can't remember what that was.
So he was on a phone call with his dad, and his dad's in prison, and they were talking about the court case, his appeal that he has coming up the following day, and they got video evidence that was supposed to clear his name, but he doesn't look up.
Yeah.
And so he raced to his old house, stood outside of it, remembering like all the good times with his mom and dad, and then he got upset because his dad's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, his mom is dead, and there was nothing to do, so he was like crying about it. And just like in the comics, Flash likes to run it off.
Yeah.
And so he ran.
Okay, yeah, so I really liked that. I thought that those were the moments that Ezra Miller actually did the best job and was tolerable, were those slow, emotional moments.
Yeah. So the movie really worked for those like emotional moments, and they delivered them, and then the actor, Ezra, in those moments also delivered on his part. So for me, those emotional parts were also very heavy-hitting.
Something else that I liked around this time was the phasing through the wall to get the beers, and that they were shaken up when he opened it, because honestly, they shouldn't even be able to phase through the wall like that anyway, but add something else.
Yeah, like saying that the beers in his clothes phase through the wall with him is basically implying that he can not only manipulate his molecules, but anything he touches as well.
Yeah, without it catching on fire or exploding, which is what would have happened with the glass barrier around the bottles. And it's I don't know how it would work because I'm not that smart, but I don't think it would work out perfectly every single time, because that's the entire reason why he has to wear a special suit. So you have rules of physics, some places, like the fact that his clothes would catch on fire if he moved fast. Do you know how fast you'd have to move to get through atoms, to get through space? That's way faster than just running down the street.
Yeah, and well, they had that scene with the second Barry, and he did the vibration thing, and his rope fell off of him and he fell to the floor. But then every scene after that, he's going through with all his clothes on and stuff.
Yeah, is it like you can think about it and then also move all of those molecules? But then if you are the one doing the intentional moving, is your brain actually connected? Are the neurons that tell your body to move that way actually connected if they are moving at that rate of speed through a solid wall? And I know that this is the comic thing, and I know that he phases through stuff, and I shouldn't be thinking about it this hard. But because of the beer, it made me go all the way back and then question everything that has ever been happening with phasing.
Well, and they already, like I said, with the rope thing, they established that he can't phase through stuff with clothes on because the clothes will just fall right off of him. So you can't establish that rule and then continue to ignore that rule because that rule was just a joke.
And like I said, initially, I enjoyed the phasing through the wall to get the beers. I thought it was funny and I liked the joke.
So did I.
But it's not actually logical, or I guess doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
So like I said, we watched Flashpoint Paradox last night, and I really dislike that Barry has two different lives here. In the Flashpoint Paradox, he is merged into one consciousness without any powers. This time, Barry is knocked back into the timeline by Death, you said, or Black Flash. I said that I liked it at the time, but I hope that they explain it, and then they do at the end. Thought that was really good.
Yes.
It was a subtle blink and you miss it hint that someone kicks him. Like, I might have missed it because I'm looking down at my notes or the bucket of popcorn. And I like how then it's just kind of continued a little bit in his brain, or when in his dream, he kind of has the Black Flash purple stuff again as he wakes up. And then ultimately it's in the end.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part too. I thought it was really cool. And I have not. I guess Black Flash was in the CW show, but I never watched past the first season, so I've never seen the Black Flash in anything besides comics.
Okay.
So I was really happy to see him, but it brings up issues that we'll talk about later.
Okay, and I don't mind that they did a different story than Flashpoint Paradox. I actually like it because this way it works in our world, our universe, doing the whole Michael Keaton's Batman is now the Batman instead of Thomas Wayne, and it is really nice the way that they're able to use the actors, and I liked the end thing. So I'm not trying to say this should have been the Flashpoint Paradox, because I actually like the plot aside from some of the really big issues, like that it's separate. I like the new idea. I actually thought it was, I don't know, creative.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of the few live action DC films where I'm going to say they didn't need to copy the comic book or the animated film.
Yes.
This alone, the idea, like you said, was creative. I think it was original what they did.
Yeah.
It had it obviously borrowed, but it's supposed to borrow from the lore, which is great. They did a fabulous job.
Yeah, and so like I said, I disliked originally that Barry had two lives, but he was merged into one consciousness in the Flashpoint Paradox. But I'm happy that Black Flash kicked him and knocked him back so that he wasn't actually supposed to kind of end up there. In the Flashpoint Paradox, it's his intention to go back and save his mom. And in this, he kind of just accidentally does it.
Yeah.
Like he accidentally ends up at the 18-year-old. So he saves his mom, right? And then maybe if he would have continued, he would have merged consciousness. But the reason he didn't merge consciousness is because Black Flash kicked him at 18-year-old Barry's time of living. And that's why he ended there.
Yeah, I think the way they explained it was a pretty good way to explain it. Because in the Flashpoint Paradox, they're doing the same. The whole point of the Flashpoint Paradox was to wipe out the old DC and create the new 52 era of DC Comics. In this one, they show it as more, not so much as creating a new future, but creating a whole new multiverse. It's a whole new world. Basically.
I am sick of multiverses, though.
Yes, but that's why there's two Barrys. In Flashpoint Paradox, it was the same world. It would be like Earth 42 or whatever. He messed with the time stream of Earth 42, so he merged into the Earth 42 consciousness of Barry Allen. This is like Earth 42 and Earth 43 colliding. And now there's two multiverses together. So I think that's why they did it that way. They didn't do it as the same world. It's basically two worlds colliding.
It is meta because it fits into literally our reality with these actors and DC going in a different direction and all of that. But I dislike how we're keeping Aquaman the same. And I wish that they would have at the end not had a definitive Batman, because if you're not going to actually bring George Clooney back as Batman, why did you end that way? Maybe we just ended before the actual end that the movie chose.
Yeah,
so that you could have left it open and now take it in whatever direction you want.
Yeah, now it's just confusing. Now, is Ezra Miller still going to be the Flash? Are we keeping the same Flash?
I think they're kind of going to wait for the court stuff to figure it out.
I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. Overall, with the Justice League, and even I think he's in Batman versus Superman. I don't know. Maybe he's just seen through a camera. We have forever disliked this twitchy, nervous, autistic version of Barry Allen. But Ezra Miller's acting was more than tolerable until he gets to the timeline, the second timeline, and eats dinner and meets this even more autistic kid, this 18-year-old Barry 2, I'm going to call him, is actually retarded.
Yeah.
I truly believe his brain or mind is being piloted by an actual seal, like a sea lion swimming, clapping seal. What direction did they give Ezra Miller for this guy? You see Barry 2 across the street walking and kicking over garbage cans, and he's his hair's all in his face. It's like Cartman when he's trying out for the Special Olympics. Really and truly.
Yeah, I also it also brings into the judgment of Barry 1, because he saw him do all that and he looked at him and said, yeah, I think I'm going to give him my powers. He's obviously too immature to handle superpowers. He's kicking over the neighbor's trash cans. This guy needs to be wearing
a bicycle helmet, not having the Flash powers. But Barry 1 is also stupid because Batman verbatim explicitly told Barry, do not do this. And then Barry intentionally doesn't listen. And then 30 seconds later, once he's done what he was told not to do, he realizes that he's made a mistake.
Yeah.
I also believe that seeing an 18-year-old image of what you could have become, a retarded seal baby, probably also told him that he made a mistake going back in time.
Yeah, he really messed up on this one. I don't know if I know the acting should have been a lot better, but he obviously was also directed to act like that. So I think we need a better director.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying the direction was off, because he did a good job in those emotional moments, the phone call with the dad, true. So much of it.
Yeah.
And then the monkey had more brains. The stuffed animal, stuffing Fluff, more brains than the 18-year-old version, Barry 2. I do like how Barry 1 recreates the accident so that we get to see it. And it is a somewhat of an origin story without being an explicit origin story within the movie. I liked that because we get to see how Barry got his powers without needing to go through an entire movie watching how Barry got his powers.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. I don't enjoy the fact that, like, this is one, I'm saying this because I'm remembering now, like, there were moments in this movie where he should have used his powers, could have used his powers, and didn't use his powers. That scene being one of them, because he knew exactly when the lightning was going to strike. And so he's standing there and gets hit by the lightning, which causes him to lose his powers. But if you know when the lightning's going to strike, exactly when, would you not just super speed and get behind Barry 2 and have him get struck by the lightning and avoid losing your powers altogether? Like, it's
that's
the classic,
contrived thing I was talking about.
Yeah, it's just a classic case. You have to dumb down someone who's already smart enough not to do this.
Someone that would,
the story progresses.
In universe, you would adapt to these things, just like with the food. You would have created in your everyday life, this would be too much of an issue. You would have made something that would fix this.
Or my other issue is dumbing down characters for a joke. Like, he is in the place where he is recreating the scene, right? He works there in his world.
And he knows the sliding glass door.
Yeah, he knows the sliding glass door is automatic. So he phases through it, turns around and goes, oh, it's automatic. Yeah,
you walk through that every day, idiot.
Yeah, are you stupid?
I know. And then the next scene made me question, what is this even an emergency? Are we even trying here? Because then now Barry 1, when he loses his powers, is also retarded. So apparently Barry's need the lightning to function neurologically.
The Speed Force not only speeds up their, like, metabolism and speed and stuff, it also speeds up their brain function.
To operate like a normal human, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's required of them.
Yeah,
Because the tooth thing is so cringe, and I thought, okay, we can't get worse than that. And then the phasing not working and just smashing your face into the wall like a retard, also thought, we can't get any more cringe than that. And then he runs around the room in circles, flinging his arms. I understand that being insulting, but I thought this movie was insulting me by putting this on the screen and having me pay $10 a ticket to watch it.
Well, so the tooth thing I could understand because he's supposed to be, like, he has, like, super durability. So his teeth don't get knocked out. So I would also think if I saw a tooth, like, hey, you lost a tooth, buddy. And then be like,
no,
oh,
the
crap,
fact that it just went into someone's mouth. Like, it's the same thing as the baby. It's like, oh, I'm going to throw a burrito at a baby to make it, to make the bedpan not hit him.
Yeah, that was stupid. The tooth going through his throat.
I dislike that type of stuff. And it's totally a Snyder thing that happens. It's like slow motion jokes. And everybody wants to be the X-Men Days of Future Past and do the whole Quicksilver thing.
They can't. But the running thing in general, that whole movie, being someone who did track and learning how to properly run, to watch this guy flail his arms like an idiot, I can't, it's cringe to me. I can't watch him run. I just stop paying attention when he's running. The entire movie, too, because he's running the entire movie. I'm like, this guy doesn't know how to run. It's so stupid.
Does the Flash run like that? I know the Flash holds his arms at like a 90.
The Flash runs with his arms at a 90.
I know he has noodle arms
cheek
in this
to
movie.
Cheek. It's like he's not, it's not like he's trying to swim. It's like he's trying not to drown in an ocean that doesn't exist.
It is like he's swimming.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, what do you, and then the fact that, like you said, him running around in the circle, that's how he runs when he's running in slow motion. Because I've seen him when he starts off running in, like, the Justice League. It's not the best form, but it's not super bad like that. Like, they had him run as if he was running in slow motion. And when they do this,
you're doing it I know, so good right now. You're like
so stupid. Yeah, it's like, hi, I'm just floating around.
So Barry is running around like a truly disabled person in the lab lobby. That comedy for me did not land.
Well, for crying out loud, they were so quiet because there's guards looking for him. Now he's going to run around and squeak like he's on a basketball court.
The guard is now mentally retarded.
Yeah.
Because he can't walk around a corner and see these two idiots acting so stupid.
Yeah. Like, I can handle him touching the wall being like, why can't I face through? But then running into it and then running around making all this noise and then yelling, no! Like, you're supposed to be hiding right now.
I think they just forgot that they even put that in. I think they forgot that the guard was there.
And this is, yeah.
Like the creators of the movie forgot that they shot that.
That, or it's just a common thing that they did. Like I said, they made the character stupid to make a joke. I'm all for comedy. I love comedy. The Flash is one of the comedians of the DC universe. But if you're going to break the laws of the movie, the laws that you created to make a joke, don't do it.
So as we're going to just get canceled anyway because of the way that I'm talking here, shall both of your parents are, how do you want to label it?
They're retarded, mentally disabled.
What do you want to?
It doesn't matter.
I thought you would phrase it a little bit more eloquently.
Well, it's not offensive.
It's not like you. It's not like that gives you a pass, like the whole black friend thing. But both of your parents are intellectually
handicapped.
Yes.
However you want to say it.
Yes, or they were. You don't have parents anymore, but they were. Biological parents were. And you lived with your dad, and you loved your dad all the way until he died when you were in middle school.
And he had his own. How do you say, like, worldly advice that works, that was smart, I guess. Like, it doesn't mean that they're not functioning human beings.
It's not like this, though, right?
Oh, God, no.
So that is an insult.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So Barry 1 and especially Barry 2 are actually, like, true worse than autistic, worse than Asperger's, worse than intellectually disabled or handicapped. I cannot believe that they thought this was funny. It's offensive to the Flash character. If you had, like, I was pissed off when Iron Man was drinking and peeing in the suit and all that because I just was thinking, this guy is who I'm supposed to respect. This guy is who I'm supposed to clap for when he flies down. This is on another level. This is worse than Fat Thor. And it's just this part. Just cut that out because that part pissed me off so much that I didn't get back into the movie for a while.
It's like they want to make stupid humor that's easy to make but funny to kids. If you're making a kids movie, make a kids movie. But if you're gonna make a movie that's this, like, intellectually, like, deep, and you have to actually think to understand the concept of the movie, the story of it and all, then do that. Make
That's
it for
what I'm
adults.
wondering. Who are these
Stop
movies
mixing
for?
it.
Should I stop watching these movies? Should I stop caring?
Yeah.
Because I still enjoy and love every single freaking thing that DC Animated puts out. I'm excited for, what is it, War World that's coming out? They just dropped a new trailer last week. Everything. I rewatch them constantly. I have The Long Halloween and Gaslight on my phone. Downloaded so I can watch it anywhere, anytime.
And they make it when the movie is rated PG-13 or rated R, it's rated R or PG-13, down from the graphics to the story to the intellectual jokes, everything.
I don't know about anyone else, but no one in our theater laughed at that of the stupid stuff.
No.
Also, going into the next pretty upsetting part, no one laughed at any of the following jokes. I'm pretty sure they were supposed to be jokes. The nakedness, the dick stuff, the popping downstairs with a girl screaming. I probably wouldn't have a sexual deviant type joke with the whole Ezra Miller situation. Maybe edit those things out as well. We had a lot of extra stuff here that we could have edited. The movie's 2.5 hours long. There was room for cuts.
Yeah, with the controversy around Ezra Miller, I would have cut a lot of stuff out, including the whole 16-year-old girl yelling, "I love you," and him going, "I love you too." Like, maybe avoid that situation. Like, I'm not an Ezra Miller fan, but even I think that was kind of dirty to do to Ezra Miller. Like, his situation. Don't make it worse by having him on screen doing these things.
It's not that I even went in with any sort of prejudice, because I think that you can separate, like, the art from the artist all of that stuff. I think it's totally possible. I don't think that we should cancel anybody or persecute anybody. Of course, if you've actually committed crimes, you need to go to jail. Like, yes. But I was willing to go into this, like, completely blank-minded. I didn't think about it until I saw him completely naked on the screen, though. And I just thought, is this really necessary? Isn't he kind of in trouble for something around that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe at the time they were like, hey, let's show off, like, how hard you work. Because he obviously worked hard to be the Flash.
He looked good.
Yeah, he was fit. But like you said, this was not the time to have that. You needed to edit that out. Because that was...
Even as a last minute thing, as soon as, like, allegations or evidence or viral arrest videos came out, I probably would have just said, okay, that stuff's getting cut. It wasn't exactly necessary. We're just cutting it out.
No, it didn't further anything.
And the retarded stuff was more offensive to me. I'm like, the thinking I'm so dumb that I will find that crap funny is more offensive to me. Getting back to things that we like, I loved the suit slow-mo and the little suit coming out of the ring, and you get to see all that. I thought that was very, very cool. I liked how he also, Barry 1, was constantly explaining little things. So there was tiny pieces of dialogue here and there that gave you a lot of knowledge into the Flash and either his powers or his journey and how he's got here. All of that stuff I thought was excellent.
Yeah, they did a great job with show not tell, which we always talk about. And even the stuff that he did have to kind of explain a little bit was necessary.
It worked very well in the story. It worked very well in the dialogue. None of it felt forced or expository unnecessarily. I even thought that backstory that he added about only being able to save one kid because he was so scared, he was never a superhero before, and Zod with Superman are completely destroying cities, and he's only able to save one little kid. I even thought that was cool, emotional, plausible. I liked it.
Yeah, it showed, because this wasn't an origin story, but it kind of was. It showed growth for Barry 1 that we didn't get to see. Because when we saw him in Justice League, he had his powers. He knew what he was doing. He was confident with them. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like a Mary Sue situation. This takes that away and it goes, no, he actually wasn't good in the beginning. He didn't know how to use his powers. He struggled and he was afraid.
Yeah.
And now he's this confident, cool.
I don't know if that's... he's definitely not confident. I don't know if that's the proper use of Mary Sue. I think he's competent in what he does. To the most part, I also didn't mention that I really disliked the kind of complacency thing in the very first scene where he's tying up these cords or something like that while there's people that need saving inside of that building, and he's talking to Alfred on the phone. It was another kind of mixed, is it tense or is it humorous? What are you trying to make me feel in this moment? Because I'm confused and upset, and I'm not feeling either.
That part didn't bother me too much. Maybe it's this situation, maybe because there was like babies in the room that they show you that are probably going to die soon or whatever. But
so you think because I'm like a woman, I'm like more...
Not because you're a woman.
No, not like offensively, but yeah, I am hardwired to be more concerned about like babies.
Yeah, because for me that felt more like you see in the DC animated films when they're fighting like Apocalypse and stuff, like Flash is making jokes all the time while he's fighting and stuff, and he never takes anything seriously. That's where the Justice League gets on him about stuff. Like he's dealing with like an atom bomb and making jokes, and they're like, hey, you need to take this seriously. He's like, I am taking it seriously. This is how I deal with stress.
Oh, okay. So no, I'm wrong then.
Because you're a woman. Come on, what are you trying to do to me here?
No, and I also am just more emotional ever since I like got brain damage. I'm also more emotional. It's not it's that I'm an emotional person because I'm a woman. Also extra because I have brain damage and can't regulate my emotions or thoughts or all of that stuff. So no, it was not a thing about you. It's just that I personally was being too sensitive to this situation. It is absurd and felonious that they mention Superman so often without showing Henry Cavill. Why? Is it because he's so charming and sexy and charismatic? Is it because he refuses to have sex or let you Hollywood sickos grab his dick? Why would you do this to such a humble and beautiful person? I'm disappointed. I am offended. I admire Henry Cavill even more because he doesn't come out and trash all of you punks in public, you absolute fools. On another note, is this the Flash CW coffee shop set? It looked identical to the Flash coffee shop, like from the CW TV show. I'm pretty sure I saw Iris West standing in that exact set like several times.
I think you're right.
It looked exactly the same.
The coffee shop in the street.
Yeah. If you are not a part of the oversensitive generation and you're still listening to us degenerates, I think that we're moving on from what we hate, and we are now getting into Michael Keaton's beautiful Burton Batman.
I loved so much about this, especially like not just the Easter eggs of it, but also the acting of it. Like Michael Keaton didn't miss a step, miss a beat, didn't drop the ball. He picked up this role as if it was his movie just last year and the year before that.
I disagree. I think he phoned it in quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I think his old age maybe made it difficult. He is pretty old.
I didn't love him as Bruce almost at all.
Okay, that was not his call. His Bruce would have never been a drunk who gave up fighting for Gotham just because it was a better place.
The old Wayne Manor is gorgeous. It's so sick, very Burton-y. I noticed that Joker or a Jester is one of the paintings that's like behind both Barrys as they're walking through Michael Keaton's house.
Yeah, I think the paintings themselves are also kind of like just like the hallway that they walk through, which is the set from the Tim Burton movie. the paintings are a callback from the Tim Burton movie because of the whole thing with the Joker painting in that gallery.
Yeah.
So there's just so many.
He's
callbacks.
got like the hat, the artist hat.
Yeah.
Like to the side.
Yep.
I didn't love the Burton Bat intro. I thought Michael Keaton deserved a cooler, more suave entrance. It was goofy. The shoelessness was cringe to me. I don't like it.
The whole that whole intro, just I was mad at first. I immediately was
I felt like
this
we could do
suck.
better. Come on, we're in a kitchen and you're playing a joke with him flipping around. I just thought we could have done something cooler.
I thought they were gonna go with like the Batman v Superman retired Bruce Wayne, where he's retired, he's comfortable, but then he hears danger, so he like hides. Not this
in flip flops,
drunken,
really
bearded. Yeah,
this guy. Come on, he sleeps upside down.
Yeah, he does in that one, huh? I forgot about that.
He's not wearing flip flops and sweatpants.
I forgot.
He's even cool when he's asleep. Okay, he's not gonna be like unkempt and hobo-y.
Yeah, I didn't like this beginning interaction. Like,
it got better from there, thank God.
Yeah, when he actually starts like spying on them.
I mean, I loved it so much that I was like squealing and jumping down, up and down in my chair.
Yeah.
Not outside of I was squealing internally.
Yeah, and they focus so heavy on him during these Tim Burton Batman scenes that I forgot we were watching The Flash. I thought we were watching another Batman film.
I loved it.
Flash was guest starring.
Yep. I also loved the explanation that Michael Keaton's Batman gives, the retrocausal paradox thing. I enjoyed the spaghetti analogy a lot. I liked calling Barry 1 stupid. Thought that was great.
Yeah, that was the best. I think that's the best way you can explain the multiverse.
Yeah, I thought that was wonderful.
A big bowl of spaghetti. Like, it was perfect.
I wish that Barry 2 would have just eaten fast instead of slow, because you could do that. Once again, if you were really hungry, you could eat at the speed of the Flash. Instead, it's played for a joke, and there's sauce all over his face. It's disgusting.
I guess kind of a little bit, but his metabolism, when he uses the Speed Force, it burns faster, so he would have just completely used up exactly what he ate just for eating the bowl of spaghetti.
It would not be exactly what he ate just for eating the bowl.
No, it would have been more.
A couple of little snack foods put Barry's power up to gold or green, which
guess.
Also not plausible because he has to drink like a 10,000 calorie shake to get back up to being good.
If you think about it logically, this movie broke so many rules that it established.
Let's not think about it. Let's turn our brains off. I hate doing that, but let's turn our brains off. The pasta in the mouth thing, though, just another retarded, gross, yucky moment. Phasing through the manhole joke, though, landed for me. It's almost like immediately after this. Yeah. Kind of accidental, and he phases, he's like, oh. It just was something maybe a kid or a young adult that is not used to these powers would be like, okay, yep, that's my objective, get through there, and then not think about the consequences on the other side.
Yeah, and then the fact that he doesn't know, this is Barry too. He doesn't know Bruce Wayne is Batman, so he's like, what is this place?
Yeah. It's funnier than not knowing how to eat properly like a human being.
Yeah.
So I literally orgasmed with the retro Batcave. The bats and the slow pull out of the camera to expose all of the different pieces of this Batcave, all of the different tech and the Batmobile. It was so beautiful. The bats coming from every corner of the cave. We need more bats. Bats everywhere. Bats all over the place.
I love that they brought back the laughing sack from the end of the Batman with Jack Nicholson's Joker. I love that they did even like a mini reveal with the Batmobile. Is it like wrong for me? Like, I was furious that Barry 2 was sleeping with a bunch of junk food in the Batmobile. I was like, how dare you disrespect the Tim Burton Batmobile? Yeah. How dare you? I was livid first. Like, I had to remind myself to just calm down. It's just a movie. It's not that big of a deal.
I also really liked, so I wrote that Barry 2 is so insufferable. And then almost immediately after I wrote that, Barry 1 freaks out on Barry 2. So then I wrote, I really like that Barry 1 freaked out on Barry 2 because it was deserved. And Barry 1 did make me feel emotion in that moment. Ezra Miller succeeded there. I felt feelings like he's holding back and that he understood that he's so mad and jealous and angry at this kid, but also he understands that that's not really this kid's fault, so he doesn't really have a right to be so angry at him, but also he is the most annoying thing with somewhat of conscious thought on the planet, so I think that gives him a right to freak out on him. What were your thoughts?
I loved that he was freaking out on him and then goes, and that's exactly what people think about me. Like, I love that. And honestly, I think here,
I don't think Barry 1 is as awful as Barry 2.
no, but I think that Barry 2 actually gets a little bit better, and Barry 1 does after this point because of that realization.
Yeah.
Barry 1 freaks out on Barry 2 about how he's acting, says you're insufferable, you're annoying, so Barry 2 acts better. And then during that freak out, Barry 1 goes, oh crap, that's how I am to other people.
But you mentioned in the car that was such like artificial growth that they made Barry 1 and Barry 2, especially Barry 2, start out so low, like so below any sort of humanity bar that a functioning 18-year-old would have in order to achieve that maturity growth.
Yes.
It's you don't need to take it that far.
No. But you know what? I have been thinking, and I think for today's generation, 18-year-olds, it's pretty accurate.
Oh my gosh, we're going to offend. We have no listeners, and we're definitely not going to have any now.
I mean, honestly, that's just how I see the world now.
We're just mean. We're just stupid, mean people.
Just to be fair, I'm not a fan of kids in general, especially when they're like, if you're 20, I'm 27, I'm almost 30.
Just to be fair,
So-
you do retarded crap all the time. You're essentially Barry 2.
He's like calling the pot, calling the kettle black.
I have brain damage. I literally go to the hospital every single week because I have brain damage. I've been in brain damage, neurological physiology, rehab for 6.5 years. I take pills so I don't twitch out everywhere. I'm like, we're a pair, the two of us having the audacity to call Barry 1 and Barry 2 stupid.
Hey, that's just because we know what it's like, okay? We understand.
We're like, you're offending us. We're retarded.
Yeah.
You're picking on us. I really liked the inevitable circumstances and fate talk through the camera. It was meaningful and it inspired Batman. That, I think, was my favorite moment in the movie when Barry looks up at the camera and says, I know that you're watching, and Burton Bat is listening. And it just 10 points to the movie. They executed it beautifully. It's the motivating factor for Bruce Wayne to become Batman again. It was emotional. It was logical. Like it expanded on why the universe is acting like this. Wonderful.
And you know what? It kind of reminded me of the Flashpoint because it's like kind of the same theory with, in the Flashpoint, Flash uses Bruce Wayne, Thomas Wayne's son, as a motivator to get Thomas Wayne to get involved, right? Because he's like, in the other world, Bruce Wayne's Batman. We can save him.
Yeah.
In this one, they can't do that because it's not Thomas Wayne. It's still Bruce Wayne. But they use Alfred instead,
Yeah.
who was and has always been a father figure to Bruce Wayne. And I enjoyed that so much because it doesn't matter what universe it is.
Alfred's top tier.
Alfred is
Pyramid.
my father figure.
Alfred is. Yes. When Batman suits up, we've got the Batwing plus the bats. Oh my gosh, I hate myself, but I teared up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you had the swelling music and it was so good. I hate it. I hate it.
I enjoy that line. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
I didn't love that
I
line.
love it.
I didn't love it.
Didn't
and
fit.
it didn't. He didn't say it right there either.
He says it when he's up on the railing.
With Kara, she's already here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you messed up.
Oh, well.
You ruined the flow.
Oh, well.
And then there's another, like, superb shot with Batwing on or under the moon, and Batman is falling or flying in the foreground. I also came in my pants.
Yeah, and also another callback to the Tim Burton movie.
I know, that's why I loved it so much.
They basically recreated the Tim Burton movie, except without
they didn't,
the Joker.
But there was such great nods to it.
Yeah.
They had a really, really awesome respect for the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah, it felt homey. You know, it felt like I was comfortable with it. It didn't feel out of place.
Nostalgic.
Yeah.
Not homey.
Well, no, I felt at home with it. I felt great.
Familiar.
Yeah, I guess. I felt homey.
Homey isn't a word.
Yeah, it is. I'll look it up.
You're my homie.
No. Homey, of a place or surroundings, pleasantly comfortable and cozy. It is a word.
Point at me and say you're fired.
You're fired. Michaela, you're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
How does he say it? He acts like he's kissing. You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
So when Batman has the grappling hook and Barry 1 kind of jumps on him, I wrote down that I wish Batman had asked Barry 1 how much he weighed. And I just want to note that I had that thought before the movie. Continuing down into the bunker, Batman's fight scene in the bunker. I thought that the Barry 1 and Barry 2 stuff was a little okay. It was a little Kramery. So I don't know why that worked, but the rest of the comedy didn't. I just thought the bluntness or just the casual, everyone saw. It wasn't even hidden a little bit. It was just so obvious that everybody in this big window saw when and then it got a little cringy as it kept going, but originally it got a laugh out of me. But then when it starts to do like the shooting and stuff and the vomiting, that took me out. But Batman, when he's standing up at the top above the railing, I don't know if I've ever been so turned on by anything on a television screen. No, anything on a television screen.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part too. I think it worked because it was Barry too. And so he doesn't know how to use the powers right now. So he couldn't like super speed out of there or anything before anyone saw or stop he doesn't know how to use his powers to function.
Oh, you're back there. I was moving on to Batman.
Well, this is in the same scene.
Okay.
Yeah, and the vomiting, it worked either with it or didn't, because Barry 1 had said you cannot move people at super speed because it messes with their bodies. And that's what Barry 2 did. To save him from the bullets, he moved him at super speed faster than he was supposed to and just shook him up. And that's why he was like dying.
Well, then what was Barry doing to all those little babies?
He was moving them slowly. Did you notice how he was so gingerly careful with them? Oh. He was slowly moving them, whereas Barry 2 moved Barry 1 just as fast as he possibly could. And it nearly killed him. So,
I wish that the Flash would have saved me from falling down the mountain and getting brain damage.
Me too.
So let's get to the Batman fight scene where I want to be in the bunker. It was so effing good. It was like Arkham Asylum came to life. It was
the use of gadgets.
Every gadget. The use of the tactics. He was pressing X and pressing Y, and he was doing everything he's supposed to.
He did left trigger X for the grapple hook and pulled him and kicked him.
Oh, so good.
And then bounced the batarang off the wall to ricochet it and hit behind him. Oh, it was so good.
But then I immediately wrote down after that, I am also so effing furious that you can do this. You know how to make a moment taste this good, and you've been feeding us shit for years? Why? This was unbelievably good. I am so upset.
They need to get this director, because I don't know who directed this movie.
Well, it's the same director, though, that told Barry to kick over the garbage cans like Cartman.
But obviously this director knows how to direct a Batman, though. He might not be able to direct a Flash very well, but he can direct a Batman.
He wasn't actually doing that, though. So was it CGI? Did they just get some really great video game developers to come in and do the CGI?
Well, maybe, but even if they did CGI, they had to have somebody in a motion capture suit to do it all, which isn't hard. They could have a stunt person. Maybe.
I don't think anyone was doing all of that. That was like DC animated stuff. That was excellent.
Yeah, they did.
I need to think of some more adjectives.
It's impossible. There are no more. Just excellent.
No, there's not.
Very fond of. I like that. Enjoyed.
So I didn't enjoy that we cut away from such gloriousness to Barry barfing during that holy moment in time where Michael Keaton got to act the most, I would argue, like a real Batman that we have ever seen on screen, ever.
Yeah. They could have done that at the end instead of interrupting that scene. I really agree with that, because
and they only did it once. I would have docked him 100 times if they kept interrupting. It was only once.
And
-2 points.
I've sort of felt like it, but especially during this scene, I've always said that George Clooney was my favorite Batman. I know it's horrendous. Everyone says he's the worst. And after watching this scene, I honestly think it's Michael Keaton, because I think
you're a little high on the moment right now.
Maybe, but even that movie with Jack Nicholson, I mean, it was so good.
They pick up Kara, and then Batman saves everyone for a second time, blocking tons of bullets with his bat cape. Love it. Loved it. He flies away and rolls to the ground and opens the grate at the last second and lands and helps Barry out of the situation completely. This is Batman just shined. He is a star. He's a stud. I don't want to see anything else. He stole the show.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
This is why everybody wants to be Batman. This is why he is the most notorious superhero, I would argue, ever. People have that phrase, no one's ever seen Batman and me in the same room. I could be Batman. Like, people, like even my grandma knows who Batman is. She knows who Superman is too. But he is, what would you say? Like on the same level as God.
I don't know about that.
Some people think that Jesus is Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that he is that famous that everyone knows who Batman is. And this was so much respect done to him. Not like Batman versus Superman, where you're just showing off that Ben Affleck worked out and that you guys created some different types of tools. That's it.
If Ben Affleck was the disrespect for Batman, this was the ultimate glory given to Batman with Michael Keaton starring.
I would argue Adam West, if you didn't grow up on it, is also a little bit disrespecty to Batman. It's very goofy, not taken seriously.
True. But Adam West also didn't say, hey, maybe instead of fighting crime to save the world, I could just end poverty. That would be better. Because
I also think the George Clooney ones are an insult to Batman. I don't care if you like them. Everything about this.
Kidding me? If I had a Bat credit card, I would solve my entire life.
It's like...
Bat card. Never leave the cave without it.
Remember a while ago when I mentioned the thing about weight? Batman takes out a measuring tape and does calculations, and he asks them how much they weigh, and I am screaming. Like, I wrote down like an effing boss. I am like so excited that they did that, because it was such a moment in the Burton Bat film when he asks the girl and she says, I weigh 85 pounds. And it's like, no, you don't. Yeah. Unless you are Eugenia Cooney. You do not weigh 85 pounds.
Well, and the beauty of it, too, because I know you said you wanted to do it when he took Flash up the wall, right?
Yeah.
The beauty of it is they copied the intensity and feeling of that scene from the original Tim Burton Batman movie perfectly.
Yeah.
They were being chased in the alleyway, getting shot at and stuff. Here, they're getting chased. They're getting shot at. They're about to have a ball dropped on them and stuff. Like, they did it perfectly. This was the spot to do it.
Yeah. And did they calculate for how much the girl weighed?
I don't know. I wasn't listening. All I could hear was, yes! Yes!
I'm sorry.
Effing yes!
I'm sorry.
All I heard was, well, I'm 180, so he has to be 180. And
I'm so sorry. I ruined it. I was so happy.
I mean, honestly, though, at that time, because it was an emaciated, what's her name? Corel?
Are you trying to say emaciated, what I was when I was anorexic?
Yeah, emaciated. Yeah, emaciated. Like, her name's Corel, right?
Kara.
Karel?
Kara. It's just Kara.
Is it? I thought it was Karel because she's from the elf.
No, it's just Kara.
Oh. But anyways, she was basically weighing nothing because she was almost dead at that point.
I mean, she's supposed to. She didn't look like I did when I was anorexic.
No, but...
I really enjoy how they got out here in the Soviet military is surrounding them. It's just like the USA did in the Flashpoint Paradox. They have them cornered, and then Supergirl is now touched by the sun. She has some immediate healing and energy. She saves them. I enjoyed all of the action here. I didn't think that it was too crazy. I think it was done well, especially compared to Act 3 or the end battle scene, which I think was abysmal. So from the barf, or after, because that was entirely cringe, after the barf until the time that Kara questions them back at the mansion. Oh, I also really liked Michael Keaton sewing himself up again, just like he did in his films. I thought that was nice. Loved all of that.
I liked his facial expression in the mirror when he did it. It showed that he missed being Batman. Mm-hmm. Like, he loved the pain he was in. Mm-hmm. It was very nice. I also want to point out, too, that if you don't know about the lore of Superman and the Red Sun, that they had the Red Sun.
Yeah, they had the Red Sun, like kind of pulsating behind those walls.
It explains why Kara was so weak inside that ball, because you look at that ball and you go, it's just a ball of steel. Why would she not be able to break out of that like Superman? Yeah. That's your reason. Red Sun zaps Kryptonian blood to where it's basically worse than human blood. I
wrote down in parentheses, Deadpool voice, I'm touching myself tonight after we watched that little section. It was so good. I hate that we have to leave the highlight of this movie in the middle, but let's continue on.
Yes.
Barry 1 wants to relive or recreate the Speed Force accident, just like he does in the Flashpoint Paradox. Loved it. Michael Keaton is not the best acting here. I think that's when I kind of noticed. It's sad, but I don't love him as Bruce as much as I do Batman. That might have been because anything less than just doing more of unachievable greatness that they did with the Batman would have been a letdown. So it might just be that I was riding such a high wave. Anything less than that was going to be not par for me.
No, it is Michael. So Michael Keaton's Batman, to me, in Tim Burton's movie, they made him kind of a loner. Mm-hmm. Bruce Wayne's not a loner, right? So Michael Keaton has a great Batman. George Clooney's Bruce Wayne, though, George Clooney brings out the philanthropist and playboy Bruce Wayne that we know from the comics and everything. So if I could get a merger of like George Clooney's Bruce Wayne and Michael Keaton's Batman in one film, you would have gold.
You would have the animated.
Yeah, you would. That is the animated, and I'm hoping that if rumors are true, Jensen Ackles can do that.
Well, we need to discuss that on a different podcast on a different day. I have issues with it. No, we're not touching that today. Although Michael Keaton wasn't doing it for me in this moment, I enjoy Barry 2 listening to the meaningful conversation. I thought that was good. The camera kind of following down the rocks and him sitting there eating food, which is plausible for his character as he is not used to needing to consume so many calories, and his kind of shocked face. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I think it was a very organic way for him to discover the reason why Barry 1 went back in time, and also understand why Barry 1 was so hurt and upset earlier, and why he was saying he was taking things for granted.
They recreate the accident scene. I'm very happy they adapted that part of the Flashpoint. Something about this moment here made me stop and appreciate this movie for what it is. Because with Michael Keaton here, it means you can't tell the exact story of Flashpoint, but they are weaving in elements of Flashpoint that are integral to the story and cause Flash to become a more fleshed out and matured character later on in his Justice League career. I loved the bat lightning kite. I loved that Barry's body is burned. The circuit is fried. His veins are like red and exploding. I would have maybe preferred the whole I'm catching on fire and then Batman having to jump down like he does in the Flashpoint. But this was good. It was as good as they could do. The vials didn't explode, so it doesn't really make sense that he would have spontaneously caught fire. I thought it was done well.
Yeah, it also keeps its originality by doing that too.
And after going and visiting Zod, Kara comes back and she's like, maybe I should help you guys out. So we're getting to the third act, finally. The third act CGI is abominable. The game makers of Gollum must have been hired on to do the rest or the last bit of this movie. Some of this stuff was so atrocious. Like, there's this moment where Kara kind of flies forward and then flies toward the camera, and there's jets in the background. It looked way worse than a video game. It was like playing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on my PC.
Yeah. Also, the weird line of Batman saying the humans we've come to save are attacking us, and the Flash having to explain, well, they don't know we're here to save them. Like, one, why would Batman even ask that? He knows no one knows what's going on. And two, why would Batman phrase it as if he was not human himself?
You skipped right over how bad the CGI is.
Oh, the line bothered me more.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was weird. Maybe he was talking to Kara, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
I liked Kara in her part of the battle. She saves a helicopter, and only to have Zod smash right through it immediately after.
And the fact that it was obvious that it hurt her and made her angry that he had killed those innocent people right there.
I liked that.
That was awesome. I love Henry Cavill's Superman, but as you've pointed out in Man of Steel, that is not something Superman Henry Cavill would have done. He would have just tossed that helicopter to the side and went after Zod.
No, I love Henry Cavill. That Superman is not Superman. that
Superman is Zod.
Thing is Zod. Yeah, that thing is basically Zod.
Yeah.
That thing is what does in Smallville, is it red kryptonite, black kryptonite?
Oh, red kryptonite.
Yeah, the one
that
where
makes him bad.
Yeah, in season like
Naughty Clark.
3.5, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he turns bad and he goes to Metropolis and he's like, he has the S or the Z on his chest. Yeah.
I like that. I really like that she worked hard to save those people. And I also liked how she was, during the fight with Zod, she was competent and powerful, but not more powerful Zod, mainly in the fact that she, like 2 hours ago, just became this Supergirl and just got her powers, whereas Zod has been on Earth for days now at this point and has gotten acclimated to the Earth.
I liked Kara every single time that she was on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think once, oh, that's cringy or clunky or stop being so center of attention, womany.
Yeah.
She was great.
They did a great job. And I actually read an article where someone had asked Henry Cavill in an interview how he felt about it. And he actually said that he thought she did a great job. And
because he's an angel.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Yeah, he said he was proud of it. And
Shelby, I can't listen to this anymore. The way that this guy is treated, it could like literally bring me to tears. So sad.
Yeah. So A+ job on her acting with that. She did phenomenal.
The end battle is a lot of close shots and slow-mo. I really didn't like any of it. When you couple that with the bad CGI, everyone is just like going around. I couldn't track anybody. I think that Marvel, in as bad as anyone wants to call Avengers Age of Ultron, that movie has the cohesiveness of everybody working together down so good. The end battle when they're fighting Ultron, I think is my favorite time that any of the Avengers work together to do something. I think it even beats Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
I wrote down, did Michael Keaton have COVID the day that he filmed, quote, I'm going after the big one? Because he sounded so phlegmy.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was like a totally different voice.
Yeah, and it was like, I don't know, I felt that was one moment out of character too, because it was just random, like, egotistical. It's just like, I'm going after the big one. Like, what?
Is Burton Bat ego-y?
I don't think he is. No.
I actually thought he was probably one of the more humble ones.
Oh, he might be a little bit, because in one of the opening scenes of that, he literally stands there to scare the thugs and purposely gets shot and then falls down like he's dead and then stands up like he's God
I think
again.
that he does have fun.
Yeah, I think he enjoys being Batman.
And that's why he has his last moments where he says like that you did save, like you saved me because I got to live again, basically.
Yeah, I'm happy that they got to redo that, because his first death, I was mad. I was like, that's really how you're going to let him die? His second death made my eyes tear up. I thought that was such a good way to kill him off, because he gave his life to stop this thing that he has no possibility of fighting.
I really loved how they tied in the explanation that he had given and him and Barry had come up with the fate and the inevitable stuff that's no matter what is going to happen and cross, like him having Alfred, and they made that his death. It's like, you got to have Alfred, and no matter what timeline, you have Alfred. And then you also, though, have to die here in this moment. And I like that he accepted it first. And then Barry kind of understood. And he's like, oh, I keep doing it over and over again. You've already realized that you're not making it out of this one. I enjoyed everything with Kara and Burton Bat. Sad to say goodbye. I liked that they're dying, because that's what happens in Flashpoint. That's what makes Flashpoint so crazy, is that all of these people that you love and all of these Justice League members are killing each other, and it's brutal, and it has stakes, because it adds to, if Barry doesn't fix this, everyone that you love watching is going to die.
Yeah.
I did hate, though, that Barry won. And we kind of skip forward to the death, but I hated that Barry 1 went along with Barry 2 in going back and changing the past in this battle, because he already had some sort of reservation about going back and changing the past in the Justice League movie. He says, like, you got to do this one more time, Barry. You have to go back just this once. And then he's learned this epic lesson that he changed so much. And now, because 2 people die that he likes, he says, I gotta go do it again. You're not learning your lesson. And then he eventually does. But I just thought, at this point, you're being so dumb again. You would have figured it out by now. Why are you 2 running back in time? Apparently, you all learned nothing. Well, and
here's this part of the movie, for me, was probably one of the worst, if not the worst part of the movie, based on DC lore. Because I like the originality of the story and stuff that they're going with, but as far as I know, every point of DC lore has said that only one can utilize the Speed Force, which is Flash's powers, to its fullest extent at one time. So only one of them can go back in time. And they explain that in the Flashpoint movie too. When Flash tries to go back in the past immediately and fix what he's broken, he can't, because Zoom, the reverse Flash, is using the Speed Force. And he explains, while I am harnessing the Speed Force, you cannot reach that point of speed to travel.
I think he uses siphoning, as if it is not touchable as I am using it.
So basically, as long as they, like, whenever they are siphoning in the movie, there's electricity flowing through them. You see it. So whenever that is happening, one of them is using the Speed Force. So in order to go back in time, Barry 1 or Barry 2 has to run as fast as they can to reach that time, and the other one has to not use any of his power whatsoever. So the fact that both of them can go at the same time, not possible in DC.
And then even skipping further later, technically 3, or at least 3 versions of them can all be doing it at the same time.
Yeah, is especially because the lore of Black Flash is the fact that he purposely prevents that from happening. So it is very difficult for me to accept.
You mentioned it before, but I did think that the last death that Batman got was the best send-off possible. Batman grappling to the big Kryptonian and putting on the bomb. on his back. It was so good. I wrote down that I'm peeing. Why have we not seen this type of stuff before? Just the image of Batman on his back. I just pictured in Arkham games when you're on the back of like the really big guys and you're kind of choking them. It was, I can't think of another word besides beautiful and amazing and awesome, but I wrote down F you for never doing this before.
Yeah, it did justice to Batman with his gadgets and his agility and his strength. And then to finish it off with him being slammed to the ground. And then he still, kind of wins that fight because it shows like he's like standing there and like the guy's ready to like kill him. And then that last bomb goes off and knocks him out and he just drops to his knees.
Yeah, he kind of is his momentum's moving a little bit forward to keep trying to go. And ultimately, Batman does die before that guy.
Yeah, but the shot of him on his knees, just looking at the ground, accepting that this is when he's going to die, beautiful.
Mm-hmm. You said that you were emotional at that point when Batman died. I just wrote Keaton's eyes are gorgeous. That was it. They're very dark blue. You have a very light bluish green, very close to Damon Salvatore's eyes, which is like really good for me.
Oh my goodness.
Michael Keaton has very dark blue eyes. Very pretty. And twisty twist of all pretzel twists, Barry 2 is basically the real villain. I love how the inevitable intersections come back and set up everything important for the final act. I liked the time rips. Barry 1 created Barry 2, who is the Black Flash, and I loved it. So essentially Barry 1 is the villain. It's all connected. It all started with him and his choices.
Yeah, which is, once again, borrowing from the Flashpoint successfully where, you find out that Zoom or the Reverse Flash isn't really the reason that the world is about to end, but it was the Flash himself. So the biggest enemy of the Flash is, and probably always will be, the Flash when it comes to Barry Allen.
Yep. And I could have applauded it for that. Worlds are colliding with the Easter egg CGI of dead people or several dead people. Nicolas Cage's Superman was spoiled for me, so that wasn't a big happy deal. But no Henry Cavill. How dare you?
I'm with you 100%. The amount of disrespect. So I love the fact that they went through all this Superman. They had Christopher Reeves as Superman. And that was like tear-jerking.
I started to water. I could feel my nose getting hot when they had Christopher Reeves because he also is such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And what happened to him is beyond tragic. It is devastating. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It was so cool to have him. And it was very, very slow. And they let the moment breathe. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. But then not only did basically earlier they kill off Henry Cavill by saying that Kal-El died. He did not survive General Zod's experiment or whatever. But then to give a CGI, not even the real Nicolas Cage, a CGI
I think
Nicolas
he probably
Cage.
was real, but they had to CGI a lot to make him look like Superman.
Still, they're going to give...
He's not the treasure hunter anymore.
You're going to give...
He's a big old Dracula right now.
You're still going to give Nicolas Cage, who was never actually Superman, he was just a rumor to be Superman, a highlight in this movie over Henry Cavill.
I know.
Who was a Superman?
It bothers me. I don't think I can ever... It's tainted the movie for me.
If you're going to do that, if you're not going to put Henry Cavill in there, at least put Tom Welling in there for crying out loud.
Tom!
Like, you're not...
Poor guy.
Like, what the heck? I love Nicolas Cage. I do. I think he's so fun to watch. But he doesn't deserve that spot.
Yeah, I think that there's other Supermen that I don't really acknowledge as Supermen. Like, there's a really kind of douchey, cocky Superman on the CW, and there's other iterations of them. I don't necessarily think everybody deserved to be up there, but Henry Cavill, you couldn't have even put him anywhere in this movie. He didn't need to be here in this Flash, but when you have Nicolas Cage here as kind of a joke with all these other really cool, monumental people.
Yeah.
You even have, did you look up that guy's name? The Cuban guy that plays the Joker?
No, I didn't.
Cesar Romero. I believe that it was him, his laugh coming out of the Adam West running around in the gray outfit Batman planet. And it was just so many little things. We're going to need to watch like a new Rockstars video or something like that. Someone that's more versed in this stuff to tell us what came.
No, I agree. But that was definitely a Cesar Romero Joker laugh. Because that laugh is like... There's a reason why.
Tier.
Yeah, there's a reason why it took until Mark Hamill to find a suitable Joker laugh.
I think it beats just the laugh alone. Beats Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's sinister. If you want to look up Tim Curry, that's a creepy Joker laugh. That's
I would
good
prefer
Joker
Tim Curry
laugh.
over Mark Hamill.
That's a really good Joker laugh. But like a funny Joker laugh is really, really great, Cesar Romero.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But ultimately, I felt utterly disrespectful. How do you not even have a CGI Henry Cavill that is a definitive Henry Cavill? Because you mentioned that they had the little bit of his back flying toward the camera. That is not the same.
Yeah, no, that wasn't even, you can say it was like Mark Hamill's back. There's no way that was Mark Hamill's back.
How do you,
either.
he was the beginning of this, I don't care how trash fire it is. Henry Cavill's Man of Steel movie was the first part of this series that you're now bringing to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And you didn't even put him in the movie at all.
Yeah. He was willing, while filming another movie, to come back and try and fix your trash fire of a movie, Justice League.
Maybe they're holding a grudge at him for the mustache. It wasn't his fault. It was in his contract. He was not allowed to shave it. They're so embarrassed by the meme that his lip is all weirdo.
I don't know. Like, the man didn't have to come back. His contract was over for the Justice League. He didn't have to come back and do this for you. You guys owe him.
So everyone fights. The worlds are colliding. Barry 2 realizes that he's the bad guy. Barry 1 realizes that he created the bad guy and makes the decision to go back in time and erase what he did. However, he does not actually learn his lesson, and I have a big issue with that. But he has a very meaningful moment with his mother in the grocery store. I was wondering, is there a meaning to, or reason why, Barry's flannel is yellow? You said no. I thought, then why do it? Because he looks like Zoom. Like Zoom, I'm going to register yellow as Zoom. And he's choosing to go back in time and mess things up. I mean, Zoom was who killed Barry's mom in the first place.
The reason behind it, maybe it's like an homage to him. Maybe it's kind of like to honor the Flashpoint.
Why not have him pick red?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Maybe it was there. Maybe there was a reason, but maybe the reason wasn't what you were thinking, because I said no for the reason that Barry Allen cannot be the Reverse Flash. If he is,
I know.
I will not be happy.
I just thought maybe it's symbolism that he is the one that's killing his mom now.
Oh, maybe. See, that could be it. Or it could be like...
Oh, you didn't catch that that's what I meant?
No. Or it could be the fact that they're like saying thank you to the animated series for the Reverse Flash, or saying, hey, or maybe it's like a slight Easter egg to maybe the next Flash villain being the Reverse Flash. There's a lot of reasons.
I thought that it was because he's killing his mom now, and so he's like,
I think that's the most logical.
Zoom. I liked the song in the background as he says goodbye to his mom. It was a very well done moment. I don't like the choice overall with Ezra Miller, not because he's a bad person or anything like that, but because I don't like how he plays, and it might not even be him or his choice. I don't like how he's directed to play this Flash as like a twitchy and nervous and whatever Flash. But I liked everything that he did here. Nothing was cringe. Nothing was over the top. Nothing was played for comedy. 5.5 points.
Yeah, I agree. They do that with the CW one too. For some reason, live action Barry Allen is nervous and twitchy. Barry Allen in the animated series is not nervous and twitchy. He's a jokester. He's a class clown, sure, but he's also competent.
Yeah, but are you going to say that Oliver is also nervous and twitchy because he makes jokes? No,
exactly. So I'm fine. If you want to make a nervous, twitchy Flash, be my guest. Don't call him Barry Allen. Make up a new character. Doesn't mean I'm going to like him anymore, but...
Is that choice as ridiculous or wrong as they've made Aquaman this drunken...
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think Aquaman's worse.
If you want to make a drunk Aquaman, be my guest. Don't call him Arthur. But that's the issue, right? Because in the DC, there has been multiple Flashes. Barry Allen, Barry West, or whatever his name is. Wally West, there we go. Wally West, Flash Jordan. Like, there's been multiple names that have gone with the Flash mantle. There's only been one Aquaman, Arthur. So it's a little more difficult to do that.
So we're concluding that Aquaman is the most abused or wrong direction of all of the Snyder-verse DC characters.
Absolutely.
I think you could make an excellent argument for Superman is not Superman. I think that for me, that's probably number one because how much I love Superman. But Aquaman is not anything like Arthur.
No, because at least with
Arthur's
Superman...
regal, and he is like a king. He acts like a king.
Yeah.
This guy acts like a drunken biker dude.
Yeah. Well, at least with Henry Cavill's Superman, you still get the iconic Clark Kent, right?
At least he looks like Clark Kent.
Yeah, and at least with Ezra Miller's The Flash, you still have like snippets of Barry Allen. But with...
He loves his dad. He misses his mom.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
With Jason Momoa, all you get is Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
Like,
he acts exactly like I don't understand the appeal. I really don't.
I don't think Jason Momoa is a bad guy or a bad actor, but I'm getting at is that he seems to play the same role in every movie, regardless of what that role is.
No, I just saw him being Aquaman on the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
So before we saw the second to the final scene, I wrote down when Barry chooses to stop and not leave the tomato can exactly where he found it. I wrote down, the tomatoes on the top shelf probably have so many more butterfly effect or intertwined spaghetti repercussions in life than Barry just giving his mom the tomatoes.
Yeah, you're no longer affecting one life. You just affected the 90 people that went to go get tomatoes.
Every single person that ever goes into that store, that ever, like, what if somebody forgets them because now you moved them on the shelf and they think, oh, they're out of my favorite ones. And that happens hundreds of times.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously affected it enough to change who the heck Bruce Wayne was.
Yeah, so my brain is broken. I've been recording for a long time and I have brain damage. I like that they showed that consequence, but how come everything up until Bruce Wayne gets out of the car is exactly the same, down to the conversation that both the Flash or Barry and Iris had, like the last conversation that they had with each other lined up perfectly, but Bruce Wayne isn't even the same human being.
Yeah, like you can't tell me like, oh, the tomatoes on the top shelf had such a little effect. Everything's the same, but then it's such a huge effect that it literally changes the physical being of another person.
And it's because it's played for a joke and it's played for a cameo, and that makes me wonder, should I care so much?
I think yes.
Because if this happened in an animated movie, I would not stand for it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense and they wouldn't even try it.
I'm all for cameos if they make it logical, like the Michael Keaton cameo. That's fine. They wanted a cameo for George Clooney. They should have thrown him in where the other cameos were, where the multiverses were colliding. Mm-hmm. Instead, they're breaking down the flow of the movie, the story of the movie for a cameo.
And so now we have no resolution to this whole story.
Yeah, no resolution. And now we're not even sure who Batman is.
Now we're not even sure about anything in this universe. What if life is even more catastrophic than it was before?
Yeah, and they're talking about switching up characters here. If they don't bring back George Clooney as Batman, that's going to be so confusing. Now we don't have a resolution for your last movie. Your Batman isn't the same from the last movie. Like, what the heck? Is this even the same universe anymore? What's going on?
It's not the same universe anymore.
No.
And
that's why I think you should take it seriously. I'm fine with cameos, but you need to make them work. They can't break the movie.
I just really find it disrespectful to your own project when you have everything come full circle. Barry's mom is teaching him about the math equation, and that's different than the prayer that Barry learns in the paradox, Flashpoint. But I thought it was not the same, but it was still good.
Yeah.
And you can't solve every problem. You just have to let it go. Her words kind of resonate with him finally at the climax when all three Barrys are fighting each other. Yeah. And then that's just done away with.
Although I would argue that's not something you teach your kid when he's doing math homework.
No, but it's because he was becoming like obsessive about it. I get what no, that's why I said it's not as good of a lesson as the prayer of grant me the acceptance for what I can't change and whatever. I thought it was a good message, but apparently nobody heard it. And the movie's over.
Yep.
You get the worst end credit scene that has ever been made into an end credit scene. I preferred Howard the Duck just sipping a martini.
Yeah, I don't understand why have an after credit scene if it's not going to further your agenda of the universe you're trying to create. It was literally trash. It was nothing. It had nothing to do with upcoming movies. It had nothing to further the story of the movie we just watched.
He gave him a piece of jewelry. Maybe that means something, but I've never been interested in watching an Aquaman movie, and that definitely did not make me increased my interest.
No, not at all.
I sincerely apologize if you have made it this far through our obnoxious and offensive babble. I thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to two idiots discuss a movie that we actually really liked.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was one of the best, if not the best, DC.
Yeah, this is the best Snyderverse movie.
Yeah.
It's the only one that I would watch again. Nah, you know what? I would watch Batman. I would watch Batman versus Superman again. I love hurting myself in that way. Such a masochist.
I mean, if this movie was
sadist, what is it? I can't remember.
If this movie was on, I wouldn't turn it off. If I walked into a room and it was just playing, I'd sit down and watch it with no problem.
I would do Batman versus Superman hate watching, and then this one for just the middle piece. It's like I watched the Beauty and the Beast remake, just for the Gaston song and Evermore, and that's it. And I just fast forward.
So you just go to YouTube and search those.
I should do that instead of taking the time to go to Disney Plus and all that.
Yeah.
We have HBO Max no matter what. We're not getting rid of HBO Max. We can turn this on. However, I think overall, we just watched the Flashpoint Paradox last night. I cried in the opening scene.
Oh yeah, given this or any DC animated movie, I'm choosing DC animated.
Even the
all
ninja
time.
one that I totally did not care for.
Batman Ninja.
Okay, well, thanks for listening. We're huge Batman fans. We're huge DC. Not the live action.
No.
But
I would argue if you're a huge live action DC fan, you're not a DC fan at all.
no, you have the same IQ as Barry number 2.
Insult. Ouch.
All right, bye-bye.
See you.